Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend review brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. While the Jimmy Graham tag issue came to a head over the weekend, we know now that he has been tagged. We know now that it's non-exclusive and what it's going to take for someone to get him out of here, which is not likely to happen, Lenny. You never know about these situations, and we've heard some things and rumblings about other teams, but I don't expect that's going to happen.
I don't think so. And what does this do? Well, if it does come to signing the one-year deal, the Saints will spend a little less money. And if somebody really wants to go after him, they've got to give the Saints 2 number 1 draft picks. And there's been a lot of discussion in the last 48, 72 hours about would somebody give up 2 number 1 picks to sign a Jimmy Graham and to pay him $12 or $13 million a year, almost 10% of your salary cap. I really don't see, the more I read about it, the more I don't see it happening. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, sources are saying, hey, it's not going to happen. So while a lot of people say, why would you expose Jimmy Graham to the open market to a certain degree, although you can match anything, this may in the end be a brilliant move on the part of Mickey Loomis and the Saints brass.
I think so, too. Seattle's been mentioned, and I think that's ludicrous when you consider how they've built their team through the draft. And by drafting very well in the mid to late rounds, I don't think they're going to give up draft choices to do that, not to mention the fact that they are the defending champion anyway. And with regard to Graham, obviously, he didn't fare particularly well against Seattle regardless. So I expect him to be here at the end of the day, or the end of 2 days or 3 days. What a term that's used all the time, at the end of the day, whatever that day is. But I expect him to be here. So does Lenny. End of story. Pelicans won a game, ended a 7-game losing streak, and it was defense at its worst. If you wanted to see defense, you didn't want to watch this game. Two teams that typically have a little bit of trouble scoring combined to score 257 points, and the Pelicans won the game, ended the 7-game losing streak. That's the good news. The bad news is they beat a team that was only 2 games behind them in the race for a top 5 bottom spot in the NBA standings.
Oh, come on. Teams aren't tanking out there. That doesn't happen.
Are you kidding me?
That doesn't happen.
Are you watching Philadelphia?
By the way, when's the last time they played defense? That's just talking about Philadelphia.
That's a joke.
That team cannot play any defense at all. But it's amazing what happens here. As we're down to the last 20 or so games of the NBA season, about 5-6 weeks left in the regular season here. And obviously, the Pelicans are not going to the playoffs. They're playing out the string. What are they playing for? Perhaps to slip into that top 5. And the irony of all of this is you're not guaranteed to have a top 5 pick in all of this, because even if you get to that position, what if those ping pong balls come out and somebody jumps ahead of you and you happen to be 5th and you slide down to 6th? That could be, that would be the ultimate slap in the face in all of this. But obviously, there's still, like you say, 20 or so games left in the regular season. A lot of home games here in the month of March, including the 2-time defending champion Heat coming to town in a couple of weeks. More immediately, Milwaukee will be in on Friday night. But, hey, at the end of the day, you're still got to play out the string. And it was encouraging to see the offensive performance that we saw Tuesday night against the Lakers, to put up 132 against that team. Yeah, they're not great, but still in all, to be able to do that, maybe some things a little bit better with Tyreek Evans in the starting lineup.
Well, maybe so. He's been inserted, and he's making a difference, at least scoring the ball. He certainly likes playing on the West Coast. That's obvious. Of course, it came against Sacramento and the Lakers with the way he's played, but then again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. So they are going to come home. They are going to face teams that, well, frankly, in some cases they can beat. It's a matter of whether they play to their ability or not. And Ed Daniels with a poignant piece at SportsNOLA.com about the future of Dell Demps and Monty Williams and whether it's time to start thinking about that. I think it is, and I think they've already started thinking about it, the Saints brass and the management of the Pelicans. And I think a lot will be determined based upon how this team competes the rest of the way. Again, a double-edged sword.
Sure. It's the nature of the NBA. As we know, it's seen a lot of things out there about how the NBA should conduct the lottery and whether it should be weighted, whether it should be equal, whether what it is that should go on here. Because clearly, as you say, you see teams that are just flat out not trying to win basketball games. Red Philadelphia.
Yale won 1 from LSU in baseball. That wasn't a good thing. Sacred Heart won 2 from Tulane. That was a worse thing. LSU and Sacred Heart get together tonight. LSU Northwestern State were canceled. The weather's played havoc with things. And these were not very good results for either Tulane or LSU, to be honest with you.
Or UNO, who lost a 3-game
Well, they were playing a
series.
good team.
They were. And in Indiana State, you think, okay, they're from up north. But you're right. They are a good
IRPI.
team. Right. Good team in the Missouri Valley Conference. Were, in position to go to the tournament last year, got beat in their conference championship. But, that is a good team. Well, how do you explain LSU losing to Yale? How do you explain Tulane losing to Sacred Heart? All you can say basically is that's baseball. It's a long season. And, you're going to have a clunker once in a while. You just got to try to minimize them. LSU can afford the clunkers more than Tulane can just based on the strength of an SEC schedule. Oh, by the way, SEC play starts in a week and a half. LSU opens against Vanderbilt.
Hello. That's right. Meanwhile, the Cajuns won 2 or 3 from Alabama. They're ranked higher than LSU in the poll that matters right now. High school basketball, the girls' top 28 tournament got underway last night, and Class B and Class C continues today and tonight and Friday and Saturday with championships with a lot of our teams still viable there. And the one class that is really interesting is 4A because the seeds are there for Salmon and Warren East in the hookup and the state championship game. They played back on February the 6th, and it was a 2-point win for Salmon over at Salmon. So if those seeds hold up, you get a rematch of a great game between two great teams.
That could be a great game. We could also see two local teams in 5A where 3 of the 4 semifinalists are from our area. That'll be interesting to watch as well. And, of course, John Curtis in 3A, a perennial team that, manages to make it this far in the tournament. And on the boys' side, ideally the second round would be done by now, the regional round as they call it, but weather has played havoc with things. Of course, Mardi Gras got in the way as well, so a lot of games going to be finished up on Wednesday night to make way for a quarterfinal round on Friday.
Yeah, 10 games were postponed due to the weather, and they are being played on Wednesday as a result. Of course, already advancing, a top seed in Landry Walker in 4A, the second seed in 4A, East Jefferson also advancing, St. Augustine in 5A, the top seed in 2A. Riverside has moved on as well. Country Day, a defending state champion 1A, has moved on. So follow SportsNOLA.com for all of the updates, the results, and more on high school basketball. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Lenny, look forward to talking to you this weekend.
All right, we'll do that.
All right, for Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.